Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Oh, my word. We have got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot that's been going on, with this particular case. We haven't talked about it in a minute. And, honestly, I needed to take a little bit of a break from the Iran war stuff, all that stuff that's been going on overseas. And we really needed to get a chance to talk about what's going on here because we haven't talked about this. Because honestly, not a whole lot of stuff is going on. There's stuff that's going on, but not a whole lot of stuff that's going on, at least in the trajectory of getting this case solved. We're in day 34, if I'm correct. In this case, we're in the second month of trying to find out where the heck Nancy Guthrie is. There's been a lot of new developments as far as the inner goings-ons within this case, and I think this is a very interesting situation. It's tragic as hell. We have to circle back and talk about everything and then some that we've missed over the past couple days. So please do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below, crush a do, hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, please make sure you hit that follow button. Follow. Subscribe here on my YouTube channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. It's in the ticker right there, going across the bottom of the screen right there as we speak. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. Okay. We got some things to talk about, okay? It is day 34, if I'm correct. Day 34. Guys. It has been a wild case. So much. And what's really frustrating, okay? What's really frustrating about this case is that we could walk away from the case for like a damn near a week, damn near 7 days. If I'm man, hold on. How many days has it been since I've covered or just, did a live about this? Hold on. Okay, so the last time I went live talking about this was February 27th, okay? And we are on the 6th, all right, of March. So, yeah, it's been a minute since I've talked about Nancy Guthrie and this whole case. And I think what's really tragic about this is that we can leave and come back and it's the same conversation. In other words, they still don't know what the hell is going on. It's been nothing but dead ends. There has not been any huge, big developments as of late pertaining to finding Nancy Guthrie. Everything is at a standstill. And you still got Sheriff Nanos stopping people from being able to help in searching for Nancy. It's crazy, guys. And it doesn't make any sense. At this point here, now you got FBI going door to door, literally back to Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. And now they are going door to door, y'all. The same thing that 5-0 already did. Local PD already did. FBI is doing the same doggone thing all over again. Now, there are some former FBI agents saying, like, this could be a good thing. It could really be a good thing. I don't see it as a good thing. Don't get me wrong, going back to the drawing board, going back to square one, going back to the original theory or the case, getting back to ground zero, and getting yourself acquainted with everything. Okay, I get it. Like, I get that 110%. Okay, but yeah, we're back at it again. Now, and of course, let me say this too, okay? Let me just also say this. Let me throw this into the mix, okay? And of course, I got to throw a photo up of Nancy Guthrie and Savannah really quick, since we're in this conversation, right? We're in this conversation, and we need to see Nancy Guthrie's face, because some of y'all might not know what the hell's going on. Some of y'all might not be savvy to what the heck is going on here, okay? But here's the thing, guys. Don't get me wrong, okay? Don't get it twisted. There's nothing wrong with going back to square one. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But for like the 17th time, it is a little disheartening. I'll say that. To say the least, it's a little disheartening. Now, does that mean that they're out there still scratching their head? Well, yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm answering my own question. It does feel like they're still scratching their heads about this. And I'm going to keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. There is no such thing as a perfect crime. There is no such thing as a perfect crime. There's no way that this guy, this monster, was able to do what he did, allegedly take Nancy Guthrie against her will, take her somewhere, and we can't find him at all. There's no way on God's green earth that this mom, this grandmother, could have been snatched in the middle of the night. Now we understand, from her bed, with no trace. And I'm going to say this too, and I might be saying something that's wild. You're going to be like, damn, Pascal, you wild for saying this. But I'm going to say it anyway, because I don't care. This is my show. Dagnabbit. Okay, here's the thing. First and foremost, I think Sheriff Nanos, I like to call him Thanos Nanos, because he just, every time somebody steps forward with any type of information, or people who want to help, boots on the ground, go try to search her, that kind of thing, he just snaps his fingers as if he's Thanos, right? And he disappears them. That's what happens. He's like, nope, we don't need you to search. Nope, you're gonna need a permit for that. Nope, we're good. We're good. That's what we're dealing with here. And he also Nanos the press conferences, because there hasn't been a press conference in Mother Loving forever. Like, it's been a minute, y'all. A long minute since we've heard anything from 5-0. Why? Why, you may ask? Yeah, because they don't know not a damn thing. Sorry, I said it. Oh, I'm going to say something else even wild. It may be wild. It may not be. You may be totally down with what I'm saying. You might be picking up what I'm putting down. Here's the other thing. I think Thanos Nanos destroyed this case. I know I said it. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. Okay? Thanos Nanos snapped his fingers and he said, no more of this, no more of that. Shut up. We ain't going to talk about nothing. Anything that is even a lead to anything where the public could really use some of that information to maybe keep their eyes open, keep their heads on a swivel, to maybe see that one thing or whatever, right? Even just I don't even care. I don't care about us YouTubers. Okay. I don't care about the media. I don't care about that. What I give a damn about is the locals, the people that live in that neighborhood, etc. All those people that live in that area. There's a monster on the loose, and you're not giving them not one damn thing, not even a tiny morsel of information. Un petit morceau. We're speaking in French today. Yeah. Okay. Petit morceau. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. This is why we're at a standstill. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. Like, you got people going out there searching for things. They're going out there and buenos dias. creep show. But you're going out there, Spanish. We're going out there. People are going out there just combing the area, and they're finding every single glove they find, every single book bag they find. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, is it a lead to the case?" And don't get me wrong, I get it, because we all give a damn, and we all want to get this thing solved and get her found so she can come back home. Because again, let me say this again. There's a monster on the loose, possibly still in Tucson. Hear ye, hear ye. There is a monster still on the loose somewhere, possibly still, probably not anymore, in Tucson. I'm just saying. That kind of matters. Don't you think? That should matter to you and me and because he could still, this dude could travel. We don't know what this guy looks like. Mother Lover could be driving all over the place trying to find the next 84-year-old woman to snatch out of her bed. I know some of you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, Pascal, that's cold. That be cold. You a fearmonger and stuff." I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm talking facts, baby. Because again, a monster is still on the loose. I repeat, a monster is still on the loose. So, sorry if I get a little emotional about it, because let's be real. She should have already been found. And I'll also say this. Thanos Nanos could have put down the gauntlet, could have put down the Infinity Stones for just a few seconds. See what I did there? And he could have just said to the public, "Hey, here's some of the information that we do know. If you know anything, aside from the ring, the doorbell camera, okay, footage, here's some other information that we do know. We are looking at for these types of things. Help me help you," right? Remember, it was the public that helped solve Gabby Petito's case. They put out information. They said, "Hey, we are looking for any footage of any kind in this particular area. This is the van that they were driving, so on and so forth." What happened? What was it? Red, White, and Bethune, I think it was called. The YouTube channel, right? Van Lifers. If it wasn't for them listening to that information, maybe law enforcement would still be scratching their heads, and people would still be outside Brian Laundrie's home protesting and making his life a living hell to this day. Or, maybe he'd go out into the swamps with the help of his parents and then, get disappeared. Okay. But nonetheless, without that general knowledge, that information, we would be nowhere with that case. Oh, let's talk about Charlie Kirk for a second. Oh, snap. We talking about Charlie Kirk? Hold up. We talking about Charlie Kirk? Yes, we are. What about that case? What about that tragedy? What about that situation? FBI and local PD finally said, "Hey, here's some footage. Yes, it does look like he's wearing a melted mask, but this is the guy. Here's his physique. This is what he was last seen wearing, so on and so forth. If you know anything, please let us know." And what happened? Ty got caught. Now, I know some of y'all like, "That ain't him." I think it's him, but I don't think it's only him. That's just my theory. But nonetheless, without them putting that stuff out there, that gunman, that monster, that Tyler Robinson would still be on the loose with his furry lover. What is this? Lance Twigs. Yes, Twiggy. My love, yes. I shall return to thee, my love. Remember that crap? So, yeah, law enforcement here hasn't really done much, and it's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating with this case. And now FBI is back, okay? Back in her neighborhood, going around trying to figure it all out. It's like I said, it's tiresome. You know, it's quite tiresome. We got another thing too. We're going to be looking at, throughout the course of the show. We do have an interview with what's his face, Luke Daly. Remember this guy? I'm just going to show you a still of his face. Okay. He got a cheek piercing and everything. Seriously, he does. No, that's not a mole on his cheek. That is a piercing right under his eye. Yes, indeed. So he has an interview. Okay. I think her name is Brianna Whitney. I'm sorry. She did an interview with them as well. So again, she did an interview with Luke Daly, the guy who was pulled over in the Range Rover. Okay. And that everybody's side-eyeing. Because they say that his face closely matches, the mask, the man in the mask, right? So she did have an interview with that guy as well. So we got a bunch of things to look at. Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show, which of course was a very emotional moment. Okay. So there is quite a bit that has been going on. And so we're going to talk about all of that and then some. But we're going over to News Nation here for a hot minute to hear some of the information here really, really, really quick. Where the heck did it go? That is.
Former FBI Enton and former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer join right now. And Brian, I mean, you've been working it. You've been doing excellent work, but you can't report on what isn't known.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there's been a lot of dead ends, Chris. The glove that was found, we now found out that it's not linked to the case. The DNA actually traced back to a restaurant worker in the area who the sheriff says has absolutely nothing to do with the case. Today, though, I mean, there was action. We see the FBI out here. There's a task force that's been formed since last time I talked to you, Chris, that consists of 4 detectives from the sheriff's office, a sergeant, and then all the FBI agents. So they've got a special task force now. All they do is Nancy Guthrie. And they were out in the neighborhood again today, knocking on doors. They went to several houses right near Nancy's, and then they were in another part of the neighborhood. We're not sure why. Neighbors told me that they seemed very, very focused, that they didn't share new information, but they seemed more focused than last time they were here, Chris.
Now, first off, let me just say this. Shout out to Brian Enton for staying out there because damn, okay? Shout out to Brian Enton. In fact, shout out to Brian Enton and all the people, all the streamers that are still out there and all that are still just holding it down and trying to do their best to cover what's going on out there and trying to keep her story and this case alive. Shout out to them. Because there was even a photo I saw online where there was, I guess, a neighbor posted something near Nancy Guthrie's house and was basically saying, like, media, please don't leave. If you leave, her case goes cold. Please don't leave. And shout out to News Nation for keeping Brian Enton out there. I'm gonna be real. He answers to a higher entity. You know what I mean? A higher up individual. The fact that they're like, no, you stay out there and you keep covering this, I think is really amazing. Because they could literally say, well, we need to be over here talking about this over here, or we need to be over here talking about something else. Brian, we need to fly you over to Iran to cover what's going on overseas or something like that. There's so many things that they could be putting him on. There's so many different assignments that they can be putting him on, and they're keeping him there, which I really, 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 really appreciate. Okay. But when it comes to everybody else, all these other streamers and all that are still out there, damn right. Y'all hold it down. Okay. You stay out there. You keep her story alive. Straight up. Okay. again, it's just frustrating because there's not much going on. You see what I'm saying? You got FBI going out here and they're doing exactly what local PD did a little bit ago. Okay, the sheriff's department did this a few weeks ago, going door to door. We saw all that. And yes, it's, in a way it's like, ooh, major development, but it isn't really. It's really them just retracing the steps of what local PD did. And then, and no disrespect to Brian Enton at all, but when it's like, when they say, oh, they seem very focused, damn right they're very focused. Of course they're very focused. They're trying to find out where this woman is. You know what I mean? So of course there's going to be focus. Unlike Pima County Sheriff's Department. So again, this is just a very strange case. And day 34, guys, day 34 is today. We're in the second month of her disappearance. And still they have come up with nothing. I'm going to repeat this again. There's no such thing as a perfect crime. This was not a perfect crime. There's no way that this guy is going to get away with this.
Jen, did we expect too much? Did we treat this like a missing persons case where we expect that flush of activity within 24, 48 hours where somebody saw something on a camera and there's a chase and you try to get to them before something bad happens? Is this something else?
I don't think we expected too much. Look, Nancy Guthrie's life was in peril from the beginning, and you have about 48 hours to make that investigation quickly solved. And unfortunately, that is not what has happened here. And now when I'm seeing all of this re-canvassing, it makes me concerned. We know it's already been canvassed twice, this neighborhood. It shows me that perhaps this task force doesn't think that the information was adequately gained and they have to redo it.
I've had great experience with the Cajun Navy. I was surprised to hear that they wanted to be part of this search. A lot of people laugh it off. You do not.
No, I don't at all. I actually think they need to be doing desert searches, the searches that are very close to, in proximity to the house. I don't think anybody's been searching there. And that is the perfect thing to do grid searches there in particular quadrants where everybody knows who searched and when. That's what needs to happen, I think, with these volunteer search services.
Brian, what are your main avenues of reporting right now?
Well, you brought up the Cajun Navy. I went through, they submitted a 42-page, really detailed operational plan, Chris. I mean, they've got 25 dogs that they could bring, aerial assets, and they just want to search the desert, and they just want the sheriff's blessing. But so far, he's basically ignored their request to search.
Yo. Let me say this again. Thanos Nanos. Now, I don't care what you think about the Cajun Navy or whatever they're called. I know that there's different branches or different companies with the kind of the same name, kind of same name, kind of not the same name. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got people that are trying to come out there and try to find Nancy. Okay, sure. I don't know their story. They could be grifters. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Okay. All I know is that they're going out there, they're trying to put boots on the ground, and they're trying to help. And what is Thanos Nanos doing? He's snapping his fingers and saying, no. Come on now. How often is this going to at some point, we all have got to start going, wait a second, bro. Wait a second. Now I got questions. Why are you acting weird? Why are you constantly trying to stop somebody from being able to help in this situation? This is not right. You got people that are coming in from Mexico. Remember that happened, I think, early last week. You got, or maybe it was last weekend. Okay. You had people coming in from other states to try to help and do a search. And this mother lover's like, you need a permit for that, etc. I just think it's really dumb that you got, and they still did their thing. They still did it anyway. They still conducted their search. But like, how long is this going to be? Till they finally give in and say, okay, let me help you out. Or, yeah, come on. We could really use the help. That would be fantastic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I don't think it's right. I really, really don't think it's right. Just ridiculous. Let's go over to Jesse Weber real quick.
So she says that she wants to return to the show, Jesse, in terms of when she will actually return. She didn't say today. She wasn't on camera, obviously, but she did visit the Today Show to see her coworkers, her friends, people who she says are like family. You can see these photos. They were really emotional. She was hugging different, coworkers who she's worked with for years. You remember she was here at the house just a couple of days ago. She's been in Arizona for more than a month now, and now she's finally back in New York City.
Yeah, incredibly difficult for her. Day 33. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Day 33. There's no sign from Nancy. Everything you're hearing from sources close to the investigation, being on the ground, I mentioned this idea of 4 detectives, a sergeant, have now joined this FBI task force in Tucson. Anything you can tell us about whether or not authorities are still treating this as a rescue operation, as a kidnapping situation? They believe Nancy's still alive, or is this shifting to a recovery mission? I mean, do you have any insight into where this investigation is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, but the sense is this is not a rescue operation anymore. I mean, there's not like an active search for Nancy. There's no helicopters in the air. It doesn't feel like it has the urgency it did in the very beginning in terms of, people feeling like she could be alive. I mean, hopefully she is. It's certainly a possibility, but that's not really the sense in the way that it was in the beginning. Today, we have some video of this actually you're looking at today. I mean, it's active. There's still a lot going on. Today, the FBI agents, part of this task force, were on the ground in the neighborhood again, talking to neighbors, knocking on doors. We were trying to figure out why certain neighbors and not others. They were in one part of the neighborhood, then they came right by Nancy's house. I talked to one neighbor who spoke with the FBI, who said they seem a lot more focused now, that they were asking a lot of similar questions as
Okay, so same thing
that
again.
they have in the past, but they seem to be focusing more, and he didn't want to elaborate more than that. But like I said, I mean, some people are worried it's a cold case. I mean, they're still out pounding the pavement, Jesse.
And so I got something here I want to show y'all anyway. And this is a post from Brian Enton. I'm just going to read it off screen here, and he just tweeted this just maybe 25 minutes ago. So he says the FBI is looking into a possible internet outage during the time Nancy Guthrie went missing. One neighbor tells me his Ring camera history is mysteriously not available the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared. So there was a internet outage, possible internet outage during the time Nancy Guthrie went missing. So hold on, before we finish this clip here, and this is what he just said. This is what he just put. Let me show it to you. Let me show it. Okay, I'll just show it. It'll be a lot easier that way. Okay, so you guys can see it. Proof positive. Bada bing, bada bang. It's right there. Okay. Now you see it over there on the side of the screen. He's saying, and I'm going to repeat it again. The FBI is looking into a possible internet outage during the time Nancy Guthrie went missing. One neighbor tells me his Ring camera history is mysteriously, quote unquote, not available the night Nancy disappeared. What does that mean? Does somebody hit what is EK? What is that thing? The EKG? Is it an EKG? You know what I'm saying? The RPM, the whatever, REM. The thing where it's an electric EMP. It's an EMP, an electric magnetic pulse, right? That just completely obliterates signals, electronics, etc. Right? So an EMP, yeah, I was like EKG, but an EMP, right? Yeah, it's very convenient, wouldn't you think? China Joe? Isn't that weird? Man, okay, let me just say something really quick. Can we just put this bee in your bonnet for a second? And don't get me wrong. Hold on. Time out before everybody starts getting mad, because I know already somebody is going to be like, the food. But hold on. You're going to get mad when I say this. Maybe there's something bigger going on here. I mean, duh. She disappeared and we ain't seen her anywhere. And it's wild because there's no connection, no nothing. Everything's untraceable, which is insane, right? But I'm saying, what if something bigger happened here? What if if that is true, that the internet just conveniently got shut off in the area at the same time that she was taken? That is strange, don't you think? Doesn't that feel like some high-tech crap? No regular run-of-the-mill dumbass cat burglar is going to be able to have the ability to shut off the internet in a neighborhood at the same doggone time they're about to nab an 84-year-old woman. I know. I already sound crazy. See, tinfoil hat now is is officially on my head. Because if that is true, that's insane. Now, here's the other thing, too. He just said one neighbor told him that his Ring camera history mysteriously is not available that night that she went missing, right? But that means if that's the case, then that's somebody. And if this is really connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and it isn't just some random coinky dink, then that means somebody really knew what the hell they were doing and had technology that powerful to shut off internet for the 40 some odd minutes, maybe an hour during the time that Nancy Guthrie went missing. Does that sound crazy or does that sound crazy? Now, I know a lot of y'all already think that, already believe all kinds of crazy stuff, believe that, Jim Carrey's a clone and all that too. All right. But let's bring this all the way back down to earth for a second. And if that is what they were able to do, imagine what they were able to do and get away with. And then at the same time, it's like, if it's really that technologically advanced, what the hell's going on? And that would also mean this person really thought about this, really planned this out, and knew, okay, I don't want my cell phone to ping anywhere near the area. I don't want this, that, the third. I don't want my phone to try to connect to the Wi-Fi while I'm inside their home or driving by or walking by any of these other people's homes. You see what I'm saying? So that's weird, right? This right here, that's weird. If this is a lead, if this is possibly true, if all the neighbors are like, yeah, everything was shut off. You know what I mean? Suddenly the internet shut off at the same time that she disappeared. That is some higher level type espionage type, James Bond type ish that I've never heard before. So just saying that out loud, we're gonna keep an eye on the whole Brian Enton side of things, okay? Because he's still saying a few things here, which we are going to get into. But that just seems very strange, right? So real quick, guys, because I see a bunch of y'all in here. Good morning. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every single last one of y'all. Please do me a favor, okay? Please make sure you hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Can we get it to 1K? That would be dope if we could get it to 1K. All right. Also, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. We are less than 600 subscribers away from 200,000 subscribers. It is freaking amazing. It is a beautiful feeling. And I can't wait to get to that goal. So if you can help me, hit that subscribe button. We're so close. Okay. We are so close. But let's take a look at this. You know what? Hey, maybe I am smoking the ganj. Okay, maybe I got a contact high. Okay, I'm just reading what was written, okay, by Brian Enton. And I'm just walking down that possible road. All right. It could lead to nothing, but it could lead to something. Okay. I mean, shoot, hey, roll it and pass it then. Okay. We getting high. Okay, with that theory. But I'm not saying that it is the theory. I'm not saying that it's the be all end all. But if you really think about it, that's insane to be able to have that technology to shut off the internet in the area before she gets taken is wild to me. But let's continue.
With that in mind, circle back to what we talked about on last night's show. You broke this news about the Cajun Navy, right? So the Cajun Navy sent apparently a 41-page search plan to the sheriff's office. Said, hey, listen, you guys will be in charge. You spearhead it, but we'll help. K-9s, drones. This is a volunteer group that has assisted in search and rescue operations in the past. They've helped with criminal investigations. Has the sheriff's office still not responded to them? Because again, I mean, we've talked about the idea that maybe they don't want anyone interfering with an investigation, but have they not taken them off on the offer or even responded?
Yeah, for what we know, still no response. It doesn't seem like that plan is really going to pan out because the sheriff's office doesn't seem interested. I've heard kind of both sides of it. Obviously,
That dude is
what's
an
the harm in
idiot.
having more people out searching? And you could have them search the far desert if you wanted to, not
Nanos,
even this
nanos.
area. Others have told me, though, look, it's a controlled investigation right now. It seems like the FBI is taking more control than they had because this task force is based out of the FBI office, and they may just not want any outsiders involved right now.
And look, from an investigative point of view, I can understand that. But, everybody's just trying to find some answers right here, which is it brings me back to what the sheriff said earlier in the week, that investigators may be closer to identifying a suspect. Have you learned more information about what leads the sheriff to believe that? We've talked about before this Ring camera video of a car about 2.5 miles away from Nancy's home at around 2 a.m. We've talked about maybe genetic genealogy on some forensic material that may be of help. Do we know anything more about why the sheriff might have said that?
So, there's definitely things happening behind the scenes. The specifics, we don't know. There have been some rumblings, like could they have a vehicle description that they're just not sharing? We don't know. So the sheriff has been tight-lipped about a lot. I mean, every time we've heard from him, he's been optimistic that they will solve the case. In terms of what he knows right now, it's hard to say, Jesse.
I hope he's right. Brian and
I think Nanos is just effing this in the A. That's what I think. That's what I truly, at this point, day 34, there's no room for niceties anymore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I haven't been nice to Nanos in a while. Okay. And honestly, like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just speaking from the heart. And I just think he's effing this in the A. Yeah. He's effing this in the A. This whole case. And I don't understand why he's still the lead in this case. I'm sorry. I'm saying it. I don't mean to be rude. Earmuffs. Actually, I'm not cursing. So there it is. Okay. He's effing it in the A. Okay. That's it. That's what it is. All right. That's all it is. There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to fry this egg. Okay. Except to fry it. And yeah, he's effing it in the A. That's just my thoughts.
Amid the search for Nancy Guthrie, the country and our own colleagues have rallied around Savannah and her family to share messages of love and hope. And on Thursday, Savannah surrounded by support in Studio 1A for the first time since Nancy's disappearance. The morning met with a swell of emotions as she embraced our Today Show family, thanking the team for caring about my mom as much as I do. Savannah's inner strength shining through as she spoke, telling us, I wanted you to know that I'm still standing and I still have hope and I'm still me. I don't know what version of me that will be, but it will be. Savannah, resilient, saying she plans to return to today. I have every intention of coming back. I don't know how to come back, but I don't know how not to. You're my family, and I would like to try. Then Dylan leading us in a moving prayer for Nancy, saying we're here holding hands as a family in a place where we don't understand why this is happening. It is not too bold to ask God for the biggest miracles every day.
We have had a powerful morning.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know. There's something about this whole thing. and don't get me wrong, I get it. Like their anchor is back in town. She's back in the studio. She's trying to find a way to get back into the job, get back into the work. But at the same time, I don't know. Like there's something about this that I don't know. There's something about this makes just feels strange to me. You know what I mean? Like they got all these resources. They got all this, they got all these resources. They got all this, these abilities in this studio. And yes, I know that this is their friend, this is their family member, or what they would consider a family member. They all are coworkers. They work together. But there's something about, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about this that just feels a little strange to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yeah, you got all the, I don't know. I don't know. Should they have talked about this? Should they be making her a story right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's great to have her back, and let's talk about the case. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I get it that there are fans and people who care about whether or not she's coming back and when is she coming back and all that. And I get that. I totally get that. Trust me, I get it. But there's something I can't put my finger on it, but something about this feels odd. Something about this feels very, very odd. Okay.
Also yesterday, Jenna and Chanel opening up about Savannah's plans to come back to the show.
Even though it feels like the hardest thing to do, it's also her home and where she feels so loved, and she is beyond loved here.
And I get it, the support and love. I get it. You see what I'm saying? Not knocking the support and love. I'm not knocking them saying certain things during the show, right? A segment about, I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels weird that they're talking, you know what I'm saying? Like it's weird. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. It's just weird, guys. It's just weird.
I hugged her and I'm like, you know what? You are here and we love you.
Yeah.
Everyone loves you. And whenever you're ready, we are here.
Savannah has spent much of the past 34 days with her family in Arizona, only stepping out in public once to read messages of support. But through it all, she's expressed her deep gratitude online.
We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return. And we feel those prayers.
Savannah making it clear, despite this harrowing ordeal, her faith in God has not wavered. I'm holding on.
I'm sorry. Can we see that one more time?
Harrowing ordeal.
Okay. I'm sorry. With all due respect, I'm sure she was really doing this, saying this to her family that were there, her studio family, her show family, right? I know she loves her job. Okay. She's very good at what she does, with all due respect. Not knocking that at all. But the way that they're shaping it, does that feel a little bit weird to you? Like, why are we having this? Why is this okay? All right, I'm done. I'm gonna let it rock. But there's just something about it where it just feels so, I hate to say it, but feels so Erica Kirk. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. It just feels so I said what I said. Does it feel like that a little bit stagey? And I know, like, I'm going to be real. I'm sure that was not her doing. That was not her doing. It's NBC and the show morphing it that way. She walked in, I'm sure everybody was like, oh my gosh, we're so happy to see you here. And she's like, oh, thank you guys. I love you guys. That kind of thing. And they took the photo and now they throw it up here like this. You see what I'm saying? I don't think what she was doing here is disingenuous. I think it's very genuine. But then they took it and they're chopping it up and screwing it. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. That just it bothers me, guys. It bothers me. This bothers me.
Her faith in God has not wavered. I'm holding on to my faith, she told us. I still believe. And as my mom would say, where else would I go? It was such a moving morning
I'm not
yesterday
for
here
it.
In Studio 1A. And one of the most moving parts came after Savannah spoke. Dylan Dreyer, certified meteorologist, also apparently a pastor in training. She led us in the spontaneous prayer.
You know, it felt like the right moment for all of us. You know, we all feel so helpless during this situation. When I feel helpless, I pray. And we talk about how the Today Show is a family. And here we were, each of us praying individually. Why not hold hands and send up one big prayer to God? Let's ask for a miracle. He wants to feel needed, right? And so we asked for that miracle. And if you don't ask, you don't receive. That's right. But I think we also needed peace and comfort, and prayer does that. Yes, it does. And I think Savannah felt our love. As a family, we gave that love to her. It was our gift to her.
And getting a chance to lay eyes on her and her on us, I think we needed to see her as much as...
I don't think people realized how it wasn't planned. It was actually in this room.
I love how he just said that. Carson Daly, Mr. TRL himself. Listen to what he just said. Listen to what he just said. I interrupted him. I'm gonna let him finish what he said, but this, I'm very happy he said this, because instantly I'm in my mind when I'm hearing Al Roker, which, by the way, love the man. Okay, no disrespect to Al Roker. Okay, but the way he said, you know, he's like, we got to lay eyes on her, and she was laying eyes on us. It's a very wonderful and beautiful moment, right? But then Mr. TRL said
to see her as much as...
I don't think people realized how it wasn't planned. It was actually in this room. It happened right here behind us, and it wasn't just us. It was our entire crew. There was 100 people in the room.
And she
came into the middle, no speech, spoke from the heart, said like the most perfect words you could ever imagine, and looked every one of this family in the eyes. And I don't think it can be said enough about... I think people watch this show and they think like, oh, these are people that have to like each other for a few hours, and they call themselves a TV family, but we do life together. And there is something very special about this group. And yesterday was, I think, one of the most special days, not just in our lives professionally, but personally.
Okay, so he said, oh, that wasn't planned. You realize that this whole thing wasn't planned, because the way that they were talking almost seemed like it was a choreographed moment. Her showing up and seeing them, and her seeing them, and them seeing her, and this whole like emotional exchange with the cameras on and all that stuff, which obviously it seems like the cameras were not on, but somebody still was able to get some photos taken during that time. But what's interesting is that he said, you see, it wasn't choreographed. It wasn't planned. That whole thing wasn't planned, because, you know, for a fact, there's a lot of other people that are watching this segment right now that are all thinking the same doggone thing. Now, thinking the idea of it being a choreographed thing for views and for clicks and for you know, for content for the show, right? Almost like they call it clip farming, right? But here's the other thing. All right. I don't know. I get it that they got to talk about how they love her and that they're happy that she's back and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not sitting here saying that they need to be, that it should be glossed over, right? I'm not saying that at all. It just, something about it just seems a bit strange, that this segment. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, well, you know, okay, she's back, but here's some updates on what's going on about the case, right? And I don't know. It just, like I said, I'm not on, you know, with the Today Show or anything of that sort, but I can see NBC. I can see the higher ups trying to utilize this opportunity to get a bigger viewership over this drama. The fact that she's coming back, you don't think that these disturbing, disgusting individuals that are these TV producers, you don't think they're looking at it and going, ooh, this is an opportunity to capitalize on the situation? America has literally been at the edge of their seat since the moment her mother was reported missing. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I feel like we're watching like I know it's a TV show, but I'm saying I feel like in real life, we're watching this as a TV show in a way, right? And you got the higher ups up there being like, well, look at the ratings. The ratings are through the roof. You know what I mean? Keep talking about Savannah. You see what I'm saying? Am I the only one? Am I the only one who's feeling that? I just feel like, okay, she's back. We're happy to have her back. Here's some information about what's going on in the Nancy Guthrie case. Let's go back to focusing on her, right? Because she's nowhere to be found. Savannah's alive. Yes, I'm glad she's back with her family. I'm glad she's back with her kids. I'm sure her kids miss her like crazy and all that. But then there's the other side of me that's like, let's talk about the case. What else do you guys have? What else do you guys know? Because that's what matters. If she's coming back, I guess cool. In what way, shape, or form she comes back, I don't know. I know she's got a contract that she has to fulfill, right? But there's that other part of me that's like, okay, come on. Come on, man. You know? I don't know. That's just me. That's just my thoughts on this. Something about it feels very, very wooden and odd. A tiny bit disingenuous. But like I said, glad to see her back in New York, to do her, to be back with her family and all that. But that's the one thing that's bothering me is that the focus should be on Nancy and the case, not Savannah coming back to work. That's just my thoughts. We're going to continue.
Savannah Guthrie returned to New York City today for an emotional reunion with her NBC family. It was the Today Show host's first trip back to the set since her mother disappeared more than a month ago. TMZ captured video of hugs and tears that played out behind the scenes. Fellow Today Show anchor Jenna Bush Hager became choked up when she later talked about Guthrie's visit on air.
Savannah has come back to her home here at 30 Rock and Studio 1A. We got to see her this morning, and in her perfect way, she talked to all of us, hugged every single person in this room. She has the intention to return to the show, even though it feels like the hardest thing to do.
Savannah Guthrie has been in Tucson with her brother and sister as the anguished search for her missing mother now hits day 33.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, too. LJ, it's like, of course TMZ captured it. Well, there's a theory behind that. I think that something else was being done, and then it was bought by TMZ. It was sold to TMZ. But that very allegedly very private moment that no one should have seen, right? No cameras rolling and whatnot. There was a camera rolling. In fact, there was a camera rolling and another camera taking stills, taking photos at the same damn time. So, maybe Savannah has no idea that happened. That's possible. But NBC knew. But they couldn't be the ones to put that out. You see what I'm saying? They can't be the ones that put that out, because then they look calloused. You see what I'm saying? That's just what I think. I think somebody within knew what was going down, went out there, made it look like it was an outside thing, sold that footage to TMZ, and then TMZ was the one to break it.
Family's $1 million reward has helped generate more than 40,000 tips, an astronomical number that still hasn't led to any breaks in the case. There were, however, new signs of activity today. FBI agents were seen going door to door, canvassing the neighborhood in the Catalina foothills where the 84-year-old lived. So does that mean there are new questions to ask, or does it mean that the FBI wasn't satisfied with the answers that Pima County Sheriff's Department got when it knocked on those same doors weeks ago? For more on all that, let's go live to Brian Enton in Tucson, Arizona. He's been covering this case from the very start. What are you learning about this brand new canvassing yet again of this neighborhood?
Yeah, we saw them out here today, Elizabeth. They not only went to Nancy Guthrie's neighbors on both sides, but to other parts of the neighborhood. It seemed like they knew which houses they wanted to go to. There were some a couple of blocks away where they were talking to people. It was a mix of FBI agents and also Pima County Sheriff's detectives, but they're now all on one task force, which is what I told you yesterday. They've combined it into one very focused task force, which I'm told is a good thing. What's interesting is I talked to some of the neighbors who had the FBI agents visit their homes. And they said there wasn't particularly anything new that they were asking them, but they said that they seemed more focused. They used that word focus, that they were focusing in on some of the same elements that they had asked them about before. Whether that means there are new leads coming in behind the scenes or if they are just doing follow-up, we don't know. But I can tell you, according to the FBI, the number of tips coming in have really started to slow, Elizabeth, since that $1 million reward was first announced.
Again, you got a lot of tips, I'm sure, that were being put in after she said $1 million for anyone that knows anything that's going on, right? And not a surprise that you would get something like that. But then now everything's just kind of slowed down. Everything's slowed down. We still don't know anything that's going on. Obviously, a lot of people have been very focused about what's going on overseas because that will, if not already, is affecting us as Americans and as just civilians of this world. Okay. So a lot of people are focused on what's going on overseas because we don't want to see us getting deployed in that kind of way. We don't want to see soldiers, boots on the ground over there. So everybody's focused on that now because this has been at a standstill. You got the Pima County Sheriff's Department shoving back media from being able to be, to stay out there, to focus on what's going on with every nook and cranny, every little thing that happens within this particular case. So it's been very difficult to hear anything or know if there's any new developments that have been popping off. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I wish that there was better communication with with the Sheriff's Department and a better relationship between the Sheriff's Department and FBI and the Sheriff's Department with the media and FBI with not media. I'm sorry. With the public. You know what I mean? I feel like if there was a better understanding and better dialogue, I think we would be a lot further on in this case. We may be still at a moment of scratching our heads, but we still have at least some leads for them to go down. And right now, they got nothing. And I think that it's about time, given the fact that it's 34 whole days, we're in the second month into this case. I think it's about that time that they actually start opening up and saying, hey, guys, we could use your help. And God forbid, Rose City, if this ever goes into the unsolved mysteries cabinet, okay, I would hate to see that, right? And I would hate for this case to go cold. That would be absolutely terrible as well.
We do have more to get to this morning, including the latest on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Today, marking 34 days since she went missing. Savannah came back here and visited everyone here in Studio 1A after yesterday's show. We're going to have more on that emotional reunion a little later for you. But first, there are new developments in the search, including the FBI investigators back canvassing Nancy's neighborhood in Tucson. NBC's Liz Kreutz has more on all of that. Liz, good morning.
Hi, Laura. Good morning to you. Yeah, investigators with both the Sheriff's Department and the FBI were back out in Nancy's neighborhood yesterday, going door to door. 3 different homeowners we spoke to told us the investigators this time were specifically asking them if they noticed any issues or disruptions with their internet service the night that Nancy went missing. They say the investigators told them that several people in the area have mentioned glitches with their internet that night. Now, neither the Sheriff's Department nor the FBI have commented on this, but I did ask the sheriff earlier this week in our interview if he believed the suspect may have had a Wi-Fi jammer on him, maybe in his pocket. All he would say is that his investigators, along with the FBI, are looking at every angle of that surveillance video. And we should also note that the homeowners we spoke to said that they were either asleep or not home, so they couldn't say if they had any issues with their internet. Meanwhile, we were back outside Nancy's home yesterday, and we continue to see people showing up, dropping flowers, paying their respects. We spoke to people who live here in Tucson and people who said they're just visiting Tucson, who wanted to come by, pray, and send a message to Savannah and her family. They still have hope and that the family is not alone. Laura?
I mean, it's crazy that people are now like, it's turned into a tourist attraction. I hate to say that, but it has, right? And I get it. Some people want to be there to pay their respects, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just think it's pretty insane that, I think it's pretty insane that, that now it's turned into like that. Remember, there were people like going up there doing karaoke, you know what I mean? Singing, um, emotional songs in Spanish and stuff like that. I don't remember the name of the song, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be showing up. Shoot, I could have sworn, wasn't there some girl like in a G-string or something like that showing them clappers outside her home as well? Some goth girl, right? Wasn't there some girl I could have sworn I saw that on X. You know what I mean? Just full on booty cheeks exposed or something like that in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. A girl in all black. Yeah. I'm not going to show it to you because, she had her booty out. She had you know what I mean? It was, she had them clappers out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. Okay. She really did, Trey. She really did, Trey. Okay. And like, they're doing like a photo shoot outside of, you know what I'm saying? Like right outside Nancy Guthrie's crib. Like, why would you do that? Why? You know what I mean? It was, like I said, it was just really, really just, it's been weird over there. And it's not like it's all in one, like all at the same time. It's just little sprinkles of just weird freakiness going on over there. You know what I mean? From the pizza delivery guy to the guy in the bunny outfit to a girl walking up and singing karaoke. Okay. Oh, solo mio. You know what I mean? Then you got girl out there in all black with them clappers out, taking photos for whatever reason she was out there for. You know what I'm saying? Then you got Karens and you got male Karens on a, him in his cycling outfit being like, get the F away from our neighborhood. I'm tired of you maggots. Literally that happened too. We go look at that too. You know what I mean? It's just been absolutely insane over there. But it hasn't been every single day. It'll be like, you know what I mean? It'll be like one thing happens and then 4 or 5 days later, something else crazy happens. And then 4 or 5 days later, you got the woman singing karaoke. Then 4 or 5 days later, you got girl with her clappers out, taking photos, all goth-like and stuff, which is weird. I don't get it. Okay. Then you go down and you get the Karen getting mad. Then you got the male Karen going, get out of our neighborhood, you maggots. It's just been nuts. Okay. Oh, you got the crazy dude that walked up as well, basically saying, oh, it was such and such name. Like he's kept saying his name. You see, I've been watching and keeping an eye on this whole case. It's not like I just walked away and said, ooh, Iran. Oh, what's going on overseas? I'm just going to go over there and talk about Iran the entire time. No, I'm watching what's going on, man. It's just that there hasn't been a whole lot of things and action going on enough to do even an hour show. It's just like people with them clappers out, angry male Karens saying to get out of their town, and people singing karaoke. Does that have anything to do with the case? Hell to the no. Hell no. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to wait. And it's been damn near a week since I've talked. So I'm like, about this case, I'm like, let me give you everything. Let me just give you everything in one sitting. You know what I mean? So that's why I keep an eye on this. Trust and believe I'm keeping an eye on this case. Even the craziness. Okay. We trust me, we watching it. We watching it sometimes against our will. Okay. And a lot of y'all have been amazing, sending me a bunch of things. You know what I mean? Sending me a bunch of footage, sending me a bunch of updates, etc. I do appreciate it. But sometimes these people, some of this footage, I'm like, why are you here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you standing right there doing what you're doing? Why you half naked? Why do we have to see everything? Why didn't you leave any room for imagination? You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Okay? Now, let's talk about this. She said Wi-Fi jammers, right? I'm kind of curious about this too. Because I never knew that it actually existed. I'm gonna be real. So Wi-Fi jammers, okay, they're the price of a Wi-Fi jammer typically ranges from approximately $150 to about $1,800. So it could be really expensive if you really think about it. I mean, I know some of y'all could be like, oh, $1,800, that ain't nothing. That's like getting something off the dollar menu at McDonald's for me. Well, then good on you. Okay. But $1,800 is a lot of freaking money. Okay. For a Wi-Fi jammer, which I didn't really know that even existed, to be really honest. I didn't know it was at a consumer level that you could just buy it online, right? That's the first time I ever heard of something like that. Okay. So the use of Wi-Fi jammers is generally illegal in many countries, including the United States. How interesting is that? Okay, as they interfere with licensed radio communications and can affect emergency services. So again, this guy, this monster, this piece of trash could have used a Wi-Fi jammer while he went and took Nancy Guthrie. Interesting, right? Remember we talked about this, and I know this is not completely the same thing, but it almost is. Remember how that we talked about how Ayatollah Khamenei was taken out, and it was a whole choreographed thing. They faked that they were going, that Israeli troops acted like they were going home for Shabbat, right? They believed that. So then Khamenei was like, hey, let's meet up at my palace and we'll have a meeting, right? And we'll talk about what we're going to do, death to America, right? So they all meet up. Then Israeli fighter jets jump into their planes. They fly over there. They shoot off a Blue Sparrow missile that goes up into the edge of space and drops right down on top of them. But before they did that, they used a signal jammer as well. They shut off signal or cell phone service down in that area. So that any person was trying to call them being like, yo, you about to get hit or something like that, they couldn't call in. They also used a signal jammer as well. Very interesting, right? So I thought that kind of technology was only in the hands of the government or, agencies, that kind of thing. Isn't that interesting? So this Wi-Fi jammer that was used, you could buy on Amazon. You can get a really cheap one. Don't know how powerful it can be, but you can get a really cheap one for $150, or you can get a really powerful one, I'm assuming, for $1,800, right? So that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Like I said, I thought the likes of that kind of technology and that ability was solely for, like I said, the government, So that's very fascinating that they're able to do that in the way that they did. Now, we have got to get into this because I'm going to be real. I've been really waiting. I've been waiting. Like I said, I've been waiting for a minute to share this interview with you guys. This, like I said earlier, is Luke Daly. Who's Luke Daly? Luke Daly was the dude that was driving that Range Rover. By the way, a brand new Range Rover. Okay, maybe it was used, but again, it's new to him, which is also a dun dun dun. It'll make sense here in a little bit, okay? But he was the one who was driving the Range Rover. He got pulled over in the Culver's parking lot. He was sitting there covering his face. The cops processed basically his car and then took it. They towed it. And then everybody was looking at him as prime suspect numero uno, right? Everyone's like, oh yeah, he was stooping the third cousin 17 times removed of the Guthrie family. Therefore, he must be the dude, right? Well, guess what? He's been released as a possible suspect. His car was given back to him and all that after everybody and their mama was side-eyeing this dude, okay? But we've got to take a look at this interview. Don't get me wrong. Let me first and foremost say this. Not everybody. That's not the greatest still. Hold on. Let's just start there. Not everybody is used to doing interviews and having cameras all up in their face. I just want to preface this whole interview with that, because he does come off a little bit weird. I'm going to be real. That does not mean an admission of guilt. But one thing is for sure, he does act a little bit strange. He does. Not an admission of guilt. Imagine you living your life and never thought that you'd ever be accused of some high profile case, be interviewed, having cameras all up in your face. You're like, whoa, what is this? Is reality? People are side-eyeing me about this. What the hell? Right? Damn right. He was absolutely nervous. Absolutely nervous. Totally understandable. That does not mean, oh, he did this. But there's some information in here that's like, damn, did you have to? Oh, you said that. And now people are going to go with it too and lean on that. And because there are people who are dying on that hill saying, this is the guy. Straight up. They're like, this is the guy. I don't know all about that, but let's find out. Love to hear your thoughts on all this. Let's rock and roll. Oh, and shout out to Brianna Whitney. Okay, this is the interview. This is the reporter. This is not the greatest still of her. I feel bad. I'm not trying to make her look bad here, man. Okay, but no, that's not a good still of her either. Anyway, you'll see. Okay, this is Brianna Whitney. She conducted this interview with Luke Daly, the guy who was pulled over in connection to Nancy Guthrie's case.
Many people have believed that you are the person on the surveillance video, the abductor, the masked person. Is that you?
It's not me. I don't see the resemblance of it looking like me, but absolutely not. I have nothing to do with this case.
Nothing to do with it. Do you have any idea who is involved in the abduction?
I don't. If I did, I would happily tell FBI, police, anything. I mean, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe. But that being said, I have nothing to do with this case, and that's it.
Explain to me what happened on the night you were detained, where you were, you're with your car. How did that unfold in your eyes?
So I was driving home. I noticed two sheriff vehicles following me. They pulled me over at the Culvers right there, asked me to get out of the car, didn't tell me what it was about. So they had me cuffed in the back of a cop car, detained. I was asking, like, what am I being detained for? And they wouldn't tell me anything. They just said that the detectives would be there to talk to me. And once I saw, like, FBI and all the other cars start pulling in, I'm like, oh, this is probably about the Guthrie case. I'm like, this should be easy. Like, I have nothing to do with this, so it should be not a big deal to clear my name and move on. But the whole time during the questioning, didn't really seem like more of like a fishing expedition for them to try to get me to say something, because all the dates I was telling them where I was, things like that. I'm like, all you'd have to do is look at my phone and see my location. It was nowhere near anywhere or have any connection to this. But still, it was tough, like, being there. Like, I mean, I don't trust the FBI to the extent that I'm, like, thinking that there's pressure on this case and they want to find the person. So, like, the whole time while I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, I'm, like, panicking, thinking that I'm going to be framed for this, or they're trying to pin this on me somehow.
Did they tell you what led them to you? I mean, something made them believe they needed to talk to you about it. What was that? I
asked them. They didn't tell me any information about that. And I have thought of any type of reason why they could have come after me. But there's nothing. And I think that's why they didn't tell me.
Were you in the area of the home at the time, like the overnight, or would it have been something like, we've tracked this person near the abduction scene?
I live near her house, but I mean, I didn't even know that until after the fact. Like, I barely just learned where her actual house was in relation to mine. So I didn't even know.
Had you ever met her?
No.
Did you know who she was?
I knew who she was because my mother was following the case. But in terms of other than that, I would just go off what my mother was telling me.
You heard that, right? Okay. Like I said, he didn't know anything about it, but he knew his mom was watching it and keep an eye on the case. Now, let me just say this. Everybody else was too, for the most part. Some people don't know this stuff. Some people don't know what was going on. Understandable. But there are a lot of other people that were following this case. And I know that sounds strange what I'm saying. And it could look like it's suspicious with what he's saying here. But at the same time, I can see why some people are going to look at it and go, "Oh, damn. Oh, sure your mom was the only." You know what I mean? I really don't think this is the guy. I really don't. I think if this was the guy, I think this would be a completely different interview. I think this would be a completely different outcome. I don't think he would have agreed to do any interview, to be honest. I think he's terrified. And very nervous because just being on camera, right? I'm sure he's not used to being on camera at all. So, again, just interesting, right? It's very interesting. This is a very, very interesting interview. But I can see how people are going to be looking at it and trying to nitpick every little bit, every nuanced thing. You know what I mean? If he starts to perspire just a little bit too much under these lights while the cameras are on him, there are going to be people going to run with this and, dissect it like a mother lover.
And so how long were you detained for?
Probably maybe 4 or 5 hours.
In the back of that car the whole time? And they searched your Range Rover extensively?
Yeah, they searched Range Rover. They towed my Range Rover. Did all DNA testing or whatever, and then gave it back to me. Took my cell phone. I've had no way to get a hold of anyone, which is probably a good thing because everyone's looking at me like I'm this person that I'm not. So it's been rough.
You got your car back?
Yes.
In rough condition, or was it okay?
Well, when I went to pick it up, it wouldn't start. I guess they drained the battery down, and it was just covered in the whatever white substance that they use for testing. But yeah, then I got it started up, and it wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't damaged in terms of repairs or anything. But
so when they released you, what did they say? They say you're free? Did they say never mind? I mean, what was the verbiage there from them?
They had just told me that they were still at my house, so I couldn't go home. But they drove me somewhere near the house and just dropped me off. I was like, well, I don't have a phone. How am I supposed to figure out when I can go back to the house? They basically said, you're just going to have to figure that out. So, I mean, I waited just where they dropped me off at for maybe an hour or so. I had a friend that lived near the area, and I walked over there. They weren't home. So I was just waiting, basically just on their patio. And then it got to the point where I'm like, well, they should be done by now. I walked back to my house, and this was the worst part for me is getting there and seeing the house torn up. But the worst part was my mom not being there and her being elderly and having AFib and things like that. I'm thinking the worst. I see her car's here, but she's not there, and I don't have my phone to get a hold of her. So I'm wondering what happened, if I need to start calling hospitals or what the deal was. But luckily, I guess she went to one of the neighbors, but I didn't find it out until the next day.
Right. You were detained and released, but you've said it, your face, your name, it's everywhere online. People still believe you were either involved or did this. What's that been like for you to have your name, your picture, even a past mugshot all over the internet associated with this case?
I mean, for me, it's terrible. It's hard to go anywhere, and the hard part is they're making all these assumptions based on things that have absolutely no relevance, and they're just bringing up my past, which I haven't. I mean, I do have a past, but nothing violent or anything like that. All my past has just been involved with using drugs, and I haven't been in that life for over 2 years now. So all the things that they're bringing up, I guess it's public record, but it would have came out if it wasn't for all these people speculating and doing things like that. So now people that had no idea about my past, so I've done like a good job of working past it and not having anything to do with it. So them doing that now is kind of just reopening this whole speculation and make me out to look like this bad person, which I'm not.
And it's not just been you. People have found, records of an alleged girlfriend of yours. There's been a lot of rumors swirling around. What do you want to say about those rumors, about you, about her, about, everybody that people have looked at and said, well, they could do this?
Yeah, first of all, that's not my girlfriend. I barely knew that girl, and I was arrested with her on a completely different circumstance over a year.
Does anybody know what him being like the girl, like what is the real story behind that? Does anybody know the real story behind that? Yeah, he's sitting there going like that wasn't my boo thing or anything. I had just met her, blah, blah, blah. And I still don't even talk to her to this day. But what was the story behind that, and how recent was that actual arrest? That's one thing I've been curious about. I forget because I knew about it, a few weeks ago when he first was pulled over and everything, and everybody and their mom was going crazy on the internet. But apparently there was a girl, and they're saying like, people were sitting there and speculating that this girl was like a distant cousin on Nancy Guthrie's family side. I don't know. It's insane. It's like, well, is it really that or not? You know what I mean? So there's just been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors running like crazy ever since this guy got arrested. I also do find it interesting that I thought he usually had like a 5 o'clock shadow. You know what I mean? Like he had facial hair, and he doesn't have facial hair in this video, in this interview. Was that on purpose so that people could stop speculating on him? But I thought he was known to have like, like a 5 o'clock shadow or like a very low beard, if that makes any sense, right? Anyway, it's just something interesting. We got some behind the scenes footage we're going to be looking at here in a second too.
A year ago, I haven't talked to her since, and
a year ago. Sorry, I just answered that question. It just answered my question.
With her on a completely different circumstance over a year ago. I haven't talked to her since, and I guess they're just going off of the arrest, saying that I was arrested with her. So, but I hardly know her and don't associate with her. But in terms of everything else, I mean, all the speculation is just going off of, I don't even know if people really believe it, but online it just seems like they're pushing this narrative and trying to make connections with things that are, I don't know, basically like circumstantial, like saying my eyelashes match the guy in the ski mask picture, which I'm sure like if you could use anyone's picture and find similarities.
No doubt.
And you don't recognize the person on that in that footage?
No, I don't. But in terms of all this, like I said, they're comparing my face to this. They're talking about my Range Rover, which I didn't even buy until after she was reported missing.
It was a new car, yeah? For you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why, man? You're and I get it. He's nervous, and he's just giving us facts. But here's the thing: he had just bought that car. I repeat, he had just bought that car. You already know what people, the true crime sleuthy brainiacs out here are going to go with, right? Wait a second. You just bought that car after she was reported missing? Why did you suddenly buy this car after she went missing? Where's the original car that you had? Did you have a car before this? Or is this the first car you got after whatever? You know what I mean? What's going on here? What are you talking about? You just got that car. I'm just saying, people are going to look at that and go, wait a second. Whoa, he just bought that car. So what, where's the other car? Where's the car that you had before? Can we get that other car? Can we dust that for prints? Did you sell it to somebody? Did you sell it to the car dealership as a trade-in for the Range Rover? I'd like to know. Like I said, this is right when he said that, I was like, oh, snap. I figured I would assume red flags or at least question marks would be popping, right? From the people who are listening to this and all that. Instantly, I'm like, yo, you just bought that car after she was reported missing? Okay. This could all be like he lives his life. He's not connected. He's not sitting there going, oh, Nancy Guthrie is missing. I better not go buy my car that I've been wanting to get. Hell no. No, he's going to go live his life. But now I would want to know what was his car, what was the other car? Did he have another car before he actually bought this Range Rover? And if he did, where is that car? And can that one get dusted for prints and be examined? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm just saying. That's what instantly popped in my head when I heard that part of that interview. Let's continue.
They're talking about another car that was towed off my property. That car wasn't an accident, has nothing to do with this. It wasn't towed in relation to this case. It was being towed by the insurance company to assume if it was totaled or not. So that had nothing to do with the case. There's no evidence to point towards me other than speculation.
You really have no idea what led them to you in this case?
Absolutely not.
Still a mystery to you?
Yes, and I would love to find out.
Were you dealing mostly with sheriff's deputies or FBI agents when you were detained?
When I was detained by the sheriffs, but in terms of all the questioning was done by the FBI.
What would you like to say to both PCSD and the FBI?
Basically what I told him before, if there's anything, I'm happy to help. If there actually was something real that I could help them with, but like I said, they have my phone. They went through my phone. So, I mean, if it was anything real, they could look through that and hope clear my name. But in terms of the collateral damages, this being part of it, there's not really any type of way. There's no going back from this.
For your whole family too. I mean, your mom has had to go through this too. As a family, how has this made you guys feel collectively together to kind of be in this public shock, this public scrutiny?
It all just seems like a nightmare. I mean, it doesn't seem real, and it's just been, we're all it's just been a nightmare. I know my mom, she has like problem with stress, and like she was doing good before this. After this, she's been a lot more stressed. It's been hard. I'll let her speak to how it's affected her, but I mean, in terms of collectively as a family, it's been a nightmare.
You know, what's your message for Nancy Guthrie's family?
I mean, I like everyone else. I want to see her come home. I want the actual suspect to be found. I think it's really unfair to them to give them false hope by going off whatever they went off to have this huge investigation and raid happen. To me, it's like giving them false hope that they had a suspect and then it was nothing. And I'm not the first person either, so I think it's wrong in that sense.
This is your first interview since you've been detained. What's your hope in putting your voice out there now that people will get from this interview?
I mean, for my personal interest, I would just say just not to go off speculation of everything you hear on the internet and kind of like the hive mind mentality that someone says something and then they just go off of it based on no evidence, no truth. But I mean, in terms of like moving forward, I just want to be cleared, have actual verification that I was cleared by the FBI and sheriff, whoever else.
Have they officially cleared you?
I don't date. This is just going off what I've heard, but I guess I've been cleared, but they don't close any case, I guess, because it's still ongoing. But I mean, I know personally there's nothing else that they're gonna come across that points towards me. So
Unequivocally, you are not the person. You are not involved.
absolutely 100%.
Is there anything else you want to clear up that people may have said, that you've seen, that you feel that you have the opportunity now to address?
Nothing particular is coming to mind right now. Obviously, I'm nervous. This is, like I said, my first interview, and I mean, I'm not trying to get any more attention from this. I just want to put it out there for me that I had nothing to do with this, and I'm hoping that the truth will come out.
So, you saw a majority of this, okay? And shout out to Brianna Whitney for conducting this interview. She did an interview with his mom as well. I recommend you guys go and check that out as well. We're not going to watch it on this show. We might check it out somewhere else, but again, or check it out some other time. But definitely, what say you? What do you think on that interview? Do you think he did it? Do you not think he did it? I think he didn't do it. I really don't think he did it. But here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are going crazy over this footage that is on online. And it's all this behind the scenes footage of him like getting ready, getting mic'd up. Okay, so here's the behind the scenes raw footage of moments before we began our interview with Luke Daly. Many have asked to see when he walked in and sat down. His attorney came with him. Then we mic'd him up and set the cameras. Luke was detained and released in the Nancy Guthrie case. Let's take a look at this, because a lot of people are going crazy over how he walks and his physique and all that, right?
Hey, Luke. How you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. So we're going to get you all mic'd up right there.
Hold on, before you sit down.
He wants.
Can we make these for you?
We're gonna wait. He wants to be in here, right?
Yeah. Have it pop out your collar for me, man. You better. Makes it easier for me.
The best is ideal for the mic.
I'm just gonna clip this on right here for you. Here you go. And you can butt it back up and have a seat.
Perfect. Chris, sorry, I know it's not ideal in the corner for you, but sorry, I know that we don't have an extra chair.
No.
You are all good.
Look up real quickly. Perfect. There. See just a couple. Appreciate it.
And when we do it, you'll just look at me, just you and I chat. It's just a second.
For sure.
Everything all buttoned up here. Here we go. Just
I'll take your phone. Oh, no, I want your kid. He's just showing me like when he pulled his name online. It's like,
Sure, yeah,
next week,
100%. Yep.
Okay, you good? Club? All right. There's a clap track. Excuse me.
Cool. Okay. Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Luke, you're just gonna look at me. Easy question first. I'm gonna have you say and spell your first and last name for me, just for the record.
We're going to start that again. Hold on.
Hey, Luke.
How you doing?
Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. So we're gonna get you all mic'd up right there.
Hold on, before you sit down.
He wants.
Can we make these for you?
We're gonna wait. He wants to be in here, right?
Have it pop out your collar for me, man. You better. Makes it easier for me.
The best is ideal for the mic.
I'm just gonna clip this on right here for you.
Sorry, I know that we don't have.
Take a look at this. What y'all think? What y'all think? Do you see it? Do you not see it? I think the guy in the security cam footage, the monster over here, he looks a little bit more slender to me. Okay. he looks a little bit more slender than him, than Luke, right? The other thing is, yeah, I'm wondering if he's tatted up too, right? I'm wondering if he's tatted up as well, Luke, because there's been talks of the monster having a tattoo on his right hand. I'm sorry, on his right hand, or not on his right hand. I'm sorry, on his right arm, right? So, what say you guys? What say you on that? What say you? I do find it fascinating that they did a behind the scenes. They did behind the scenes footage. You know what I'm saying? Of this whole thing. Like they really wanted to make sure that they had that so that they could use it later. It's smart. It's smart. It's like, hey, let's get some footage, some behind the scenes footage, because we can use that later. And we can see his full physique, right? His full body shot, just to see if it's possible. I don't know if I don't see this being the guy. I really don't. And I don't mean to break anybody's heart, okay? Because I know some people are hell-bent and focused on it being Luke. I just don't see it. Not yet, at least, But it is interesting that is what's going on, right? That's what we're seeing right now. Very, very fascinating. Let's take a look at this. This is from Brianna Whitney as well. Again, there is a bit of this. She did a report on this. So I want to hear what she has to say. Apparently, they're saying new Sheriff Nanos interview about evidence, deep analysis of her interview with Luke Daly. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I want to hear some of the top of this.
New things this week. I want to start with things that we actually learned today. So Savannah actually went back to New York. She was at the Today Show today, in studio with her coworkers, with her friends, giving them hugs, thanking them, praying together. So we know she has now left Tucson to go back, and she plans to return to the Today Show. They didn't give a time on that, but that is her plan from there. So on the personal side of things, Savannah trying to go back to a place that she also loves and really a second family to her, which is the Today Show and NBC family. Meanwhile, what else did we learn this week? The DNA on the pair of gloves that was found on the side of the road about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. And that's a place I saw the area that it was just like right off one of the main drags. That DNA came back as a match to a nearby restaurant worker. And that person is not considered to be part of the investigation, according to authorities. What does that mean? That means that that person is not considered to be a person of interest, to be a suspect, none of that. And so that's important when you're talking about, is that glove related or not? No, it doesn't seem like it is. And I know a lot of people were hoping that there was going to be some answers. There's also been a lot of other gloves found in the area that were part of the investigation. We're going to get into that in a second as well. But as far as other new tidbits of information, we also know the FBI's Violent Crime Task Force was back out at Nancy Guthrie's home and neighborhood today. They were talking to different neighbors as the investigation is ongoing. But again, we still don't know where Nancy is. We still don't know the legitimacy of the ransom notes, even the first 2 that came into the news stations and TMZ that had those deadlines on them. We still don't know if those are credible or not. There's been alleged other notes that have come in. We just don't know and don't have any more answers on that. We do know that mixed DNA from inside Nancy Guthrie's home is still being tested in a lab that has not come back yet. And so we're still waiting on that. One question that people had was, did the DNA from the glove, was that linked to the restaurant worker through genetic genealogy? I asked PCSD that yesterday because it was confusing. They were doing all sorts of different testing. And as you recall, the reason that they were doing genetic genealogy testing on the gloves was because they told us that it didn't come back to a hit in CODIS, which is the FBI's database. So when I asked them that, and for clarification, was that genetic genealogy? Was that another, private lab or something different database? They just said they wouldn't provide additional details. So we still don't know. We can assume, though, it's not through CODIS. So it would have either been genetic genealogy or another database. So the investigation, of course, is ongoing. And we have new interview sound from Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. So he knows he has been under a lot of scrutiny throughout this investigation for the handling of this, the handling of the scene, the handling of the media, what he is or isn't saying. And so he was asked about some of that today with our sister station. We work together with them. He says lots of valuable evidence is still being analyzed, both digital and DNA evidence. But one thing that was highly contested was the video of the abductor, that surveillance video. And we were talking about this the other week. There were sources that had come out to multiple media outlets, including our own, that said one of the pictures that shows the masked individual, the masked man with no backpack, and it looks like different lighting, was actually from a different day than the abductor video where he's knocking, he's putting the plants up on the door, and then that camera is disabled. Sources have said those were from 2 different days. We also know that PCSD has been asking neighbors for surveillance video starting from the first of the year, first of the month. So Sheriff Nanos was asked about that because they have said that there's no timestamps on the video to prove that. The confusion there was that when this investigation began and they had their first and only press conference, they had timestamps in that timeline that said exactly when somebody was detected on the camera, when that camera was disabled, and then when Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker detached or disconnected from her phone. So there had to be timestamps at some point. Chris Nanos was asked about that today and whether or not there is a timestamp on that picture that is from an alleged different day, which would suggest that the abductor had been at Nancy Guthrie's home before. Here's what he said about it.
Was there a timestamp at some point in time? Could have been. But that image they gave us doesn't have that. What I tell people is this: they say, well, of course it's 2 different days. Look at the lighting, or look at the different attire he's in, or whatever. I look at that video and go, I have no way of knowing that that's 2 different days. I understand someone might assume that, someone might speculate that, but we don't work on assumptions or speculation. We work on evidence. And the evidence in front of us tells us you have a man dressed in this attire in one image, and you have him dressed this way in another image. There is no way to, with certainty, say this is a different day. Somebody might be able to speculate that, but again, evidence takes us there, not speculation.
Now let's talk about the glove.
Fair enough. Fair enough with what he's saying. Okay? Fair enough. But I hate that he's like, well, it could have been there. The timestamp could have been there. Well, then why aren't you asking 5-0 or, FBI to actually give you the original content with the actual timestamp on it? I feel like that's a very logical request. Just so we can, or at least for them, so that they know, okay, yes, there indeed is proof that this happened on 2 different days. I feel like that's logical, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree that that is just a logical request? Hey, do you have the original content? Google, if it was Google that got it. Hey, is there a timestamp on that? Can you show us what the timestamp said? Can you just send it our way so that we have it, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here? It's not much to ask. It's not much to ask, guys. It's not much to ask. So why? You know what I'm saying? Why is he even entertaining that question without actually just going, you know what? They got a good question. That's a good point. Hey, FBI, do you have the full footage with the timestamps so we could find out whether or not this guy was here 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, 7 months before he actually pounced and took Nancy Guthrie? I just feel like that is a very normal, very ground ball request. Okay. Easy request. But no, he's not even entertaining that, it looks like. Okay. All we're getting is him just dodging these questions. And, and I get the other part where it's like, hey, there could have been a timestamp, but we don't have that timestamp. So we can't just assume and speculate something without proof. 100% I agree with him. I agree with that. Good point. Good point, boo-boo. Good job. Good on you. Yes. Nanos. Good job. But real talk, all you got to do is turn to the people the source that gave you the footage and ask them, hey, man, is there a timestamp on the bottom left or bottom right hand or the top right or top left hand corner of the footage? It'd be ever so kind of you if you could just send us that footage if you do have it. Thank you so much. That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? It's a simple request. But no glow. No cabron, no glow.
Gloves in the case because Sheriff Nanos has asked about this. So we know that the DNA on this black glove, this pair of black gloves on the side of the road, ruled out for the restaurant worker. But there has been conversation about there being multiple gloves found in this investigation.
I'm going to pause that really quick. Let's talk about the glue. Can we talk about the glue that was found on the side of the street, side of the road, and had a whole bunch of blood on it, and everyone was tripping over it, which I totally understand. And then they said, hey, that was a worker. That was an employee at a restaurant. Yeah. And he just discarded these gloves out there in the middle of nowhere randomly, only a few miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home, right? Remember that? Okay. So did they check to see if the guy ever was not never, ever, or the person ever was ever anywhere near Nancy Guthrie's home? They just said, you just cut your finger really bad and then threw out the gloves in the middle of the sand area 2.5 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home? Oh, okay. That's fine. That's a whole lot of blood, sir. But okay. Oh, you cut that from you were chopping onions? Oh, okay. I know that guacamole. You know what I mean? You like that guacamole with that onion, don't you? Fire. Okay, sir. Well, thank you so much. It's like, wait a second. No. How do you know that it's not connected? Right? Did you run through everything? Did you really make sure you ran through everything before you released this guy? You never thought, hey, maybe he was never. This could be anybody, for Christ's sakes. You see what I'm saying? It could be a worker at a restaurant down the street with a sinister plot to do something bad. Shoot, do you know how much money these guys make cooking and prepping food at these restaurants? They don't make much money. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, wait a second. That just doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It just doesn't. Okay. And I'm sure they did everything they could. I'm sure. But at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, hello. That was however he cut himself, that was a deep cut because that was a lot of blood from what I saw. Now, you could bleed crazy just off a paper cut sometimes. But like I said, it's like, did you do your due diligence really on this guy? But, again, she talks about a multitude of gloves, which we already have talked about ad nauseum before as well. The multitude of gloves that still need to be ran, that still need to be looked into and all that. And of course, eventually, hopefully soon, we'll get closer to something. But let's go over to Ashley Banfield really quick.
Hey, everyone. I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. It is Thursday, March the 5th, which means it is day 33 in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And let me tell you, if there is one question that I get asked all the time when I'm out and about, it's, what do you think happened? And I know it's a big question for you. It's a big question for all of us. So today, I actually put together all of the top experts that I know in the business of investigations, homicide detectives, criminal investigators, FBI profilers, you name it. And I asked them what they think based on the information they know. And it is a cornucopia of different concepts of what might have happened to Nancy Guthrie, what might have happened in that house, who might have done this, what kind of person, and how they might have actually executed this crime. It's fascinating to hear them all. And let me tell you, Spencer Corson, I've got Jim Clementi, I've got Tracy Wilder, I've got Casey Jordan, Maureen O'Connell, Douglas McGregor, Paul Holes, all the good ones. So you're in for a treat. Do me a huge favor. I appreciate you being here. Can you hit subscribe? It really does me a huge solid. And I thank you if you already have. And I thank you if she was hugging and, greeting all of her colleagues there who have not seen her for over 5 weeks, right? The whole Olympics went on without her. They had to go about their business. Hoda came back to host for her. So I can tell you that this is what a Today Show spokesperson said about the visit, and I will quote them directly. Savannah Guthrie stopped by the studio this morning to be with and thank her Today colleagues. While she plans to return to the show on air, she remains focused right now, supporting her family and working to help bring Nancy home. And then later, NBC quoted what Savannah actually said to her colleagues. And let me read exactly what NBC put out. And this is Savannah apparently speaking. Quote, I wanted you to know that I'm still standing and I still have hope and I'm still me. And I don't know what version of me that will be, but it will be. I am holding on to my faith, Savannah continues, for that was just like this. Because look, Nancy Guthrie's neighbors, they have been canvassed, right? In the early days, they have been canvassed. But this might be different, and here's why. Mike Ruiz from Fox Digital reports this. Pima County Sheriff's Department defers comment to the FBI on today's activity in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, which says to me, and probably says to you, they were not from the Sheriff's Department. They were probably FBI, maybe fresh eyes, maybe just a continuation of the FBI's investigation, but this was not Pima County activity. So fascinating. And then I can tell you this, Brian Enton from News Nation saw different activity later in the day and said this, FBI agents returned back to Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, but the agents that he's photographing are different. They're different people. So it appears that today, two different sets of FBI agents were in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. So who could they be? Well, if you take Brian's reporting from yesterday, which was March 4th, this is what Brian said, the quote he got from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. As part of the refocusing of resources, we have learned, this is Brian saying, we have learned that 4 detectives and a sergeant from the Pima County Sheriff's Office have been assigned to a task force with the FBI to continue investigating Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. The task force will be stationed at the FBI office in Tucson. Now, Brian says this is a change from virtually all detectives working in the case. Brian says that he was told this, quote, is a change from virtually all detectives working in the case. So perhaps what you saw today is this task force with whatever information these 4 detectives and the sergeant from Pima County have imparted on these FBI agents. It's hard to say what exactly they were doing, but clearly what's fascinating is that the bulk of the FBI officers who were working on this case moved back to the Phoenix headquarters at the FBI, but there were some people who stayed with a footprint. And now you're learning that this task force is operating out of the Tucson field office. So interesting. Sadly, Matt Finn from Fox also reports that the FBI, quote, tells me tips have tapered in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And the FBI is still, quote, asking anyone with leads or information to call the FBI tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI is key here because they're working out of that FBI office. I don't know how many officers they have there, but they only have 5 from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And it is sad to hear that the tips have tapered. Here's one guess I have. The media was basically shooed away. And they left en masse on the exact day that the Pima County Sheriff's Department decided to put in these extremely oppressive parking restrictions, which basically went for, blocks and blocks, long blocks, by the way, I should tell you, in this particular neighborhood of dusty desert road.
She ain't wrong.
So if you want to cover this story, you got to pack in and hike in on a very hot desert road all the way into Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, and then have with you everything you need for the day. Shelter, water, power, reporting gear, cameras, all the rest. Very difficult work, which is maybe coincidental as to why virtually everybody disappeared that day.
Not everybody. Brian Enton's still out there. He's definitely still putting in he's still hoofing it every single day. JLR is still out there, and a bunch of other streamers are out there. Now, their rigs, their gear is a lot lighter. It's not as intense, but they are able to stream. They're still streaming every day to this day, trying to figure out what's going on and trying to keep this case alive. But she's right. She is not wrong with all this information. As soon as they said, you can't park over here, guys, what happened? They all said, even the local news said, we're out of here. And they all left. You see what I'm saying? They all freaking left. It's insane. And she's not wrong. In massive exodus happened with media. As soon as they said, you can't park, they're like, oh, you mean we got to hoof it a mile? Oh, hell no. No, this is way beyond my pay grade. You know what I mean? I ain't getting paid for this niche. You know what I mean? And they left. Not surprised, right? Pretty insane that we're seeing that in real time. Or, and we've been seeing that. It worked for Pima County Sheriff's Department. That's what they wanted. They wanted everybody to kick rocks. They're like, leave, go, now, go. That's what they wanted. And that's exactly what happened, right? Which is a damn shame. Because the only people that are keeping it alive, keeping this case alive, are the people that are out there still reporting, still streaming, still giving updates, right? Now, one thing is for sure. We got to go over to Michael Ruiz real quick because he did do an update here. And then I do have something about Wi-Fi jammers that we need to look at. I think this is very fascinating, but this is what is being said. Good morning from Tucson. It's now been over a month since authorities have given a news briefing on the suspected abduction of Nancy Guthrie. That is very true. It's been a minute. We haven't heard not a damn thing. Task force agents returned to her neighborhood yesterday, conducting a new sweep. Per Savannah Guthrie's new network, NBC, they asked neighbors about internet outages around the time of Nancy's abduction. So many residents were asleep at that time. At least one says his cameras recorded nothing at all on the night of February 1st, which he told other neighbors was unusual. This has prompted speculation about the potential use of a Wi-Fi jamming device, which is relatively low tech but illegal to sell or import in the U.S. Jammers have been used in recent months by South American burglary rings operating in affluent neighborhoods in California, Florida, New York, Texas, and Wisconsin to disable wireless security cameras and alarm systems. That's very interesting, right? So hardwired devices are not impacted. Nancy's devices, at least the ones we know of on the exterior of her home, were all wireless. But she also didn't have a cloud subscription, which would make this added layer of sophistication unnecessary to someone who knew her well. That's important. But, it's like I got friends that have, security cameras and stuff like that. And, I know their ins and outs of their home, but do I know personally whether or not they had a cloud subscription, or if they're paying their subscription, or if that was all on display just for show? I don't know. All I know is that they got ring camera securities, out here. You see what I'm saying? But I digress. Okay. A combined reward of over 1.2 million remains unclaimed. Anyone with information, please dial 1-800-CALL-FBI. Of course, residents in and around the area are also being asked to review their home security cameras for anything suspicious. Now, we got to talk and look at this whole jamming thing. And no, I'm not talking about, your husband in the basement with some of his old friends trying to get the band back together, jamming. Let's take a look at this.
This doorbell camera video shows what Bel Air, Texas police say are skilled thieves approaching a suburban home. But look what happens as they get closer. The camera starts to glitch and the picture warps, all because police say the thieves are using a jammer, a small device that disables a home's Wi-Fi. It's something security systems rely on.
They're not hard to get. I think they cost about $60 or $70. These jammers usually work for a very short range, 10 to 20 feet.
Police say the use of Wi-Fi jammers is growing, ramping up just as the holiday season peaks, with criminals targeting packages left on the doorstep.
So could it be that what was in his backpack, because his backpack was full, could it be that what was in his backpack was a Wi-Fi jammer? Just a very strong one, a very powerful one, not one that's just $60. Like, clearly those guys who were robbing, about to burgle, okay, that particular house, and they're holding up the freaking jammer up to the camera. They didn't get their money's worth. I'm sorry. They didn't get their money's worth at all. All right. But think about this for a second. If you get a very good one with a very strong signal as you're driving down the road, as you're walking up, whatever, it can maybe take out a whole lot of Wi-Fi signals all at one time. So think about this. If it was, that could have been in his book bag. It could have also been in his pocket, right? But again, very interesting, right?
Police say this thief outside Chicago went low-tech, no Wi-Fi jammer, instead a food delivery bag to disguise his reason for approaching the house. But watch what he does once at the front door, stuffing packages into the bag and then running when the family returns.
They got spooked and the driver warned him, gave him a couple honks to let him know that we were pulling in, and then he ran.
Security experts say to protect your deliveries,
The first thing is you can get a hardwired system that is not dependent on Wi-Fi.
plus consider a locking parcel box, schedule deliveries for when you're home, and opt for a camera that records on an SD card. In the end, the video thieves hope to distort may be exactly what leads police back to them.
I mean, wouldn't you want, if I was somebody who's doing a B&E, right, a breaking and entering, wouldn't you want it to go glitchy before you even walk up to, because you want to give off the vibe that you were never there. That's the thing, right? That's the art, for lack of a better term, of breaking and entering a home, right? You want to give off the vibe that you were never there. So it's like, whoa, how did the flat screen TV is gone? How did that happen? You know what I mean? And they're like, yes, right? Got the flat screen TV. But these idiots thought, oh, well, if we just walk up and jam it, they won't know. There's 3-4 masked individuals walking up to their home, masked, okay? And it's not COVID time, okay? So make that make sense. They didn't get they didn't, not everybody's Ocean's 11. Yeah, that's true too. That's facts. You know what I mean? Where's our George Clooney's and our Brad Pitt's is? You know what I'm saying? And our Bernie Max's is. Where they at? Okay. Yeah, clearly they're not. It's a group of dumbasses just trying to break and enter. And again, it's like, you want to make sure you got a pretty powerful one, right? Not one that you got to be up near the camera to make it work. What's the point of getting that jammer if they know who you are, or they know that they're getting robbed and you're getting caught on camera robbing the, you see what I'm saying? Do the reverse math for a second. Okay? The whole purpose of breaking and entering is to break in, get that ish, get the loot, and kick rocks without being caught. So that, Ma and Pa Smith walk in their home and like, damn, Mama Smith, what is it, Cletus? My God. My camera and my computer and the flat screen TV, damn near all our valuables are gone. Who came into our home? And then they go back and they look at their footage like, oh, Cletus, go and check out the ring camera footage. And you go over there and you see a bunch of masked it done. So waste of $60, $70. Waste of $60, $70. I'm just saying. Waste of $60, $70. Come on now. Come on now. I don't need to teach y'all how to B&E. Okay? That's what? What? Why are you talking to me? Apple Watch just suddenly started talking to me. Okay? Yeah. He's trying to get me to stop because he he's like, don't give him ideas, man. Cállate. Right? Let's get some of these super chats. Happy days. Thank you so much for the love. It's always a joy when I catch one of your live shows. Oh, thank you. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Happy Days. I appreciate that. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for your support. Super May, we love you, Pascal. Thank you. I appreciate that. Happy Days, you got a couple of them, so I'm just going to do them back to back. Thank you so much for the support again. I think she wants to forget how she didn't take proper care of her mother. Ouch. She's got lots of money. That is true. Mom should have had security, not a broken camera. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that we're in that situation where it's definitely a woulda, coulda, shoulda. This is very tragic. But at some point, this should be a wake up call for all of us, right? If you've been leaning or lingering on upgrading your security cameras for yourself, or maybe for your mom or your dad or something like that, this is the time to maybe start doing that, right? This is the time to start doing that for sure. Time is of the essence, and I think make sure that they're hardwired, not Wi-Fi, because these criminals are getting smart. Happy Days again. Thank you so much for the love. NBC are the geniuses who did that homecoming piece. Yeah, exposing their on-air talent's personal life. A vulnerable mother living alone in Tucson. Yeah, but I mean, you never know, though. It could have been. You never know. We can't really put it all on NBC. You never know. Savannah Guthrie might have been like, I love my hometown. I would love to go and do a piece on Tucson. What if it was her idea? You never know, right? You just never know. Black Lake, thank you so much for the love. I wonder if there's a chance she was trafficked. Why take the extra steps and risk to take her? Why traffic her, though? Think about that for a second. Why move her in that way? Usually they no disrespect. I'm not trying to be, I'm not, trying to be an ageist or something like that. But she's 84 years old. Why traffic her? She's 84 years old. Why traffic her? That just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It's a possibility, but I just don't see the logic behind it. They usually like them young, or younger at least. So why her? There are too many health concerns and all that, right? Given her age and whatnot, right? So again, be interesting if they did that. But thank you so much for the super chat. Crisis, thank you so much for the love. Appreciate it. 22,000 phones were shut off at the Route 91 festival. Yeah, that's from what I've heard too. The tragedy in Vegas, right? That's kind of what I heard as well, right? Pretty insane that actually happened. That's what's being said about what happened out.
Adrian Bronis.
Whoops. Pretty insane that they're saying stuff like that too. But again, I don't know. You got Wi-Fi jammers. That's a possibility. Again, you buy a $60, $70 one, it's only going to be good at a short range, right? But then you go and get like one that's maybe $500, maybe $1,000, maybe even close to $2,000. I guarantee you're going to be able to wipe out, a range of different houses all in one time, right? I would assume. But the fact that they're talking about Wi-Fi jammers is a fascinating possibility. And would they be able to reverse math that to the actual jammer? You know what I mean? The actual make and all that of that jammer. I'm kind of curious about that. Does it give off a signal? Can they go back and go, oh, that's that signal right here before everything is shut off. It logged on, it locked on to a Wi-Fi and then shut off. right? And they're able to get maybe the code or the serial number or something of that sort, you know what I mean, on that particular Wi-Fi jammer before it jams. There's got to be something. There's got to be a way. And if that's the case, then they could do the reverse math and get this guy. Maybe. And that's only maybe, right? Yeah. So again, this is a very, very wild turn of events. And again, there's not a whole lot except for maybe a Wi-Fi jammer was used. And hey, don't get me wrong. If that's the case and they're able to figure this out and do some reverse math to get them, by all means, do it. Okay. Waste not another minute. Get to figuring this out as quickly as possible, right? But I guess we're going to see what happens, right? We're going to have to see what happens. So anyway, guys, I'm going to be wrapping up the show here, but trust me, when there's more information, we will talk about it. We will talk about this case, trust and believe. But for right now, I mean, we just went through 2 hours of stuff. There's been a lot to talk about, but that's over a week, right, of information. So hopefully we get some more information here soon, something breaks, etc. And when that does, trust me, I'll be right here to talk to you guys about it. We are also still keeping an eye on what's going on overseas. Iran, I want us as a people to be safe, less death and destruction, and I hope it doesn't go where I think it's going to go. But I'm keeping an eye on what's going on, okay? Whoa. Hold on. Russia reportedly providing Iran intel to target U.S. forces. Oh, my dear God. That's as of an hour ago. Okay, sorry for the left turn. We're overseas now, guys. Russia reportedly providing Iran intel to target U.S. forces. Russia. So is China? Stop. Surely you jest. Stop. Yeah. The stuff that's going on overseas ain't stopping anytime soon. But I'll be back on a little bit later on today to discuss things. Oh, and I will be on, God willing, if everything goes according to the plan, I will be on Court TV tonight with Vinnie Politan, VPI. Vinnie Politan Investigates. So I'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or during that hour. I don't know what time I'm going to be on specifically, but I will be on tonight on Court TV with the GOAT, Vinnie Politan. All right, just so you guys know. But I'm going to see you guys in a couple hours because we still need to discuss what's going on overseas. Okay, and yeah, leave your clappers at home, or you kind of have to go with them because they are connected to your body. But at the same time, conceal them clappers, okay, until the time is right. You know, when you're on a beach or like, you know, with your boo thing, you know, behind closed doors, but not in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. How's that? Okay? Just a thought. Keep them clappers concealed because they a weapon too. Anyway, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation, being part of the show. When we find out more information about this Nancy Guthrie case, I will give you guys more updates for sure. I will be back on in a few hours to give you guys some updates on what's going on in Iran and all that chaos that's going on, okay? But please do me a favor before we head out. Small asks, okay? Small ass clappers. Anyway, hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what to do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, Rumble. There it is. Hit that follow button. Follow. Subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Please and thank you. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random and a lot of times breaking news stuff. So make sure that notification bell is set to all. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out. PascalMerch.com. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Stay safe out there. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.